What if I told you that one single renovation, not a full gut rehab, not a brand new kitchen, doubled my rent literally overnight? We're not talking about a fantasy. We're talking about a real decision that separated a mediocre, cash-flowing property from one that prints money while you sleep. It wasn't a new roof, it wasn't granite countertops, and it definitely wasn't one of those shiplap accent walls that every HGTV host swears will change your life. No, the renovation that did it was something far more strategic, far more calculated, and honestly, a little embarrassing that it took me this long to figure out. The property was a single-family home that I had been renting out for $900 a month, and by every metric, it was fine, just fine, which in real estate is basically a slow death. Fine means you're leaving money on the table, fine means you haven't asked the right questions yet, and fine is the enemy of financial freedom. Here's the catalyst. I brought in a local property manager to do a market analysis, and she looked at me like I had 3 heads when she saw the unit. She said, and I quote, "You're renting a 4-wall box. People pay a premium for a home, not a box." That one sentence cracked something open in my brain because I realized I had never thought about my rental from the tenant's perspective. I thought about it from a landlord's cost minimization perspective. And those two lenses produce completely different properties, completely different tenants, and completely different rents. So what did I do? I converted the unfinished basement into a legal, livable space, added a bedroom, a bathroom, and a small kitchenette, effectively turning a single-family home into a 2-unit property. The total cost was roughly $22,000. The rent went from $900 to $1,800 almost immediately. And my cash-on-cash return became something I'd actually brag about at a dinner party. Now, before you say, that's just an ADU play, yes, it is. But the deeper lesson is about understanding what your market is actually screaming for versus what you assume it wants. In markets with tight inventory and high rental demand, adding legal square footage isn't just renovation, it's arbitrage. History backs this up too. During every housing crunch, from the early 2000s to post-pandemic inflation, landlords who added density to their properties outperformed those who just updated aesthetics by a wide margin. We tend to romanticize the kitchen remodel, but the boring structural plays are where generational wealth quietly gets built. And look, I get it. The idea of pulling permits, dealing with inspectors, and navigating zoning laws sounds about as fun as a root canal with no anesthesia. But here's the misconception worth busting. Most cities have actually loosened ADU and basement conversion rules significantly in the last 5 years, specifically because of the housing shortage. People assume the government is your enemy in these projects, but in many jurisdictions right now, they are literally handing out grants and low-interest loans to landlords willing to add housing units. The irony being that the system that once blocked density is now begging you to create it. You just have to know where to look and who to ask. The psychological trap most landlords fall into is thinking renovation means luxury. They see granite and stainless steel and think, that's how I raise rent. But tenants don't pay a premium for beautiful. They pay a premium for functional, private, and complete a space that feels like theirs. Adding a self-contained unit gave my tenant a home, not just a room. And that distinction is worth hundreds of dollars a month in almost every rental market in the country. The behavioral economics of it are almost poetic. People will pay significantly more to feel like a resident than a renter. Now, let's be real about the risks. Because no strategy is a clean sweep, zoning issues, contractor delays, cost overruns, and permitting nightmares are all very real and can absolutely eat your margin if you're not disciplined. The lesson isn't go convert your basement tomorrow. It's run your numbers cold, hire people who've done it before, and never let optimism replace due diligence. Position size matters here too. Don't bet the entire portfolio on one conversion project before you've stress tested the concept on a single property. Start small, measure twice, and let the data tell you whether to scale, not your gut feeling after watching a YouTube video at 2 in the morning. What's beautiful about this strategy in a philosophical sense is that it aligns your incentives with the community, you're adding housing supply, you're creating a better living situation, and you're building equity, all at the same time. That's not always how real estate feels, but when it does, it's worth savoring. Whether the market softens or rates stay high or your city changes the rules, again, none of that changes the fundamental math of density done right on a property you already own. You're not speculating on appreciation. You're engineering income. And that's a completely different game with a completely different risk profile. The renovation that doubled my rent wasn't glamorous, it wasn't Instagrammable, and it didn't make for a great before and after photo, but it made for a great bank statement. And at the end of the day, that's the only metric that actually matters when you're building a portfolio meant to outlast you. If you're ready to find your version of this play, whether that's a basement conversion, an addition, or just figuring out where to start, check out our links in the description below, where we can help you with real estate investing, home contracting work, and connecting you with the right lenders.